In today's video, I want to go over the top 3 reasons why atheists reject belief in God. The first most common reason is that there's no evidence for God. And I want to just refute these ideas and go through why I think there's plenty of evidence for God. The number one reason is DNA. DNA is incredibly complicated, and the information that's in DNA it's really just code. And code doesn't originate from nothing. Code has to be designed. DNA is self-correcting. There are error-correcting mechanisms in DNA that scan through DNA and find genetic errors and correct them. The second reason is the laws of the universe. We have the laws of physics, the laws of logic, the laws of mathematics, and many other things, the laws of thermodynamics, rigid laws that our universe has to have in place to exist. And I don't know how you could say that these laws evolved over time or just came out of nowhere, because these seem to indicate design. The third piece of evidence is the location of Earth. Earth is often called the Goldilocks planet because it's situated in the perfect place. And Earth also is shielded from solar flares because of the magnetic field and asteroids and other things. We have a temperate climate, and yes, the vast majority of Earth's surface is uninhabitable, but that wasn't the original design. Also, the distance between Earth and the Moon is ideal. If the Moon is any closer to the Earth, then we would have serious tidal problems. The tides would be much higher, and we would also have other major issues. The second most common reason atheists reject belief in God is the question, if God created everything, then who created God? So this question is interesting because this would make sense if God was a finite being, but God is infinite and eternal. And you would have to have some kind of eternal, infinite force to create everything, to create space and time. If you have a force or a being that creates space and time, but they're finite, then who created them? And you could go down the line forever. But there has to be an originator. There has to be an originating force that is eternal and never had a beginning. I think it's much more far-fetched to believe that the universe created itself, that it just happened, because that violates causality. But believing in a God that had no beginning and is eternal does not violate causality. The third most common objection is, if there's a God, why doesn't he stop evil? There are a number of reasons for this. God gave us free will, and he does not violate our free will. He can, but he chooses not to. The question I want to ask atheists is, what is their basis for morality? Where do they get morality? If atheists say that we are a product of random chance and we're just animals, then what is evil? Does evil even exist, or is it just a subjective thing? They seem to have no foundation for what is right and wrong. It's just dependent on who you're talking to or the culture. So when they say, why doesn't God stop evil, what evil are they talking about? And what basis do they have to call something evil? It's from God that they get the sense of right and wrong and the hunger for justice from evil. Those of us who believe in a God, namely Christians, believe there will be a day of justice. And we believe there will be justice for people like, think of the worst people in history. I think it's important to mention that we are the perpetrators of evil, not God. So these are just my thoughts on these objections to God. I think there's plenty of evidence for the existence of God. I think it's harder to say that there's no God. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you for watching.